Hello, I'm Dr. Margaret Rogers Van Coops. One of my videos actually talked about my book, 50 Spiritually Powerful Meditations, but today I'd like to entice you into realizing that you can really do yourself a great deal of goodness, if you like, by meditating. I tell lots of people that, but they always come back with, I can't meditate. My mind is going round and round in circles, and the more I try to empty my mind, then the more I begin to find myself being restless and ultimately angry with myself that I cannot switch off my mind. So, I'm going to give you some advice. The first thing is to understand that meditation is not about emptying your mind. After all, you're not a vegetable. You've had 1,001 things happen just today. And all the way through this day, you've been mentoring yourself about those activities. And some of those things you've consciously justified, rationalized, explained, or excused to yourself in some way why you've been talking to yourself or talking to other people. And often during those times you have gone into what we call an alpha state. And of course when you're in an alpha state, you're in a meditative mood. In other words, you're contemplating who you are and what you're doing. Contemplation is a very important part of our existence. So when you go into meditation, it's perfectly in order to be shifting through the things that you've done during the day. Somewhere in the midst of all those little thoughts about the things you've done is one little clue, as something that seems to pull you to keep going over and over it. And when you've discussed it in your mind over and over again, thinking about how you could handle a given situation or what you should have said or done and so forth, you come to a point in awareness where you start to say, as a result of that issue, that happening in this day, I learned something. And during this time, you begin to awaken to that inner voice, that part of you that says, listen, here's what I truly think. Here's what I really know. And up pops an answer, a clear crystal answer, a part of self that gives you information without you even trying to get it. And as you accept this new revelation, because that's what it is, what follows is an epiphany. An epiphany is a realization that you can do something in a different way. And you may be doing it for a different reason. Have a new goal, a new ambition. Let me talk about a little example. I had a client who wanted to stop smoking. This had been a sort of dialogue in their mind for about 5 years. Every time they lit up a cigarette, they said to themselves, I've got to stop smoking. And immediately think about smoking another one. So over the years, they've gone from smoking a few cigarettes to 40 a day. Asked, why do you think you're smoking 40 cigarettes a day? And they responded, well, I have a lot of stress. I have a lot of happenings in my life. There are so many things going on. Without this cigarette, I would not be able to get through the day. At that point, I said, this cigarette? Which one are you talking about? You just told me you smoked 40 a day. I said, well, yes. I was just meaning that the cigarette that I'm smoking now. And I said, well, you're not smoking now. And they said, well, I will be. I'm just thinking I want to go outside and have one. And I said, well, you can go outside if you want to and have a cigarette, but I want you to know that you're actually in an alpha state, and you're actually hypnotizing yourself, and you're telling yourself that you want to have a cigarette because you've justified, rationalized, explained, and told yourself that over and over again for a very long time, for a lot of years. So the number of times you've told yourself is countless. It's become a habit that stress, tension, problems, issues in your family go hand in glove with having a cigarette. Well, that person heard me, listened to me well, thought about it, and promptly went outside and had a cigarette. So I didn't say anything. I waited till they had it and they came back. And of course then I said, well, did you enjoy that cigarette? And that person said, well, no, not really, because I was just thinking that you've just told me that every moment I have a cigarette, I'm telling myself, have another one. And I said, that's right. And she said, well, I'm going to be thinking that all the time. And I responded, that's good. That's good because now you're changing the record. You're not playing the same tape over and over again. What you're actually telling yourself now is feel guilty. Before you were saying you needed one to get rid of the stress. Now you're saying feel guilty. I said that's good, but it's not good. Because the next thing you know, you're going to be out there smoking the cigarettes, just as many as ever, saying, oh, I feel so guilty, I'm having one more. And now I'm even more stressed and full of tension because I'm feeling guilty and I've got all my problems still going on. So I'll increase my number and I'll have another few. And a few might be another 10 or 20. And that person said to me, well, that's what happened. I actually did feel guilty about smoking, and that's when I started smoking a lot more. And I said, well, you've just proved to yourself that it's your state of mind, your emotional state of mind, I might add, that supports the ideas that you have told yourself over and over again that you need to have another cigarette. Well, they went away and they came back and they said later, I really want to stop smoking now. And I said, well, okay, I'll help you with hypnosis. I'll help you to stop smoking. And the first thing that came out of their mouth was, well, can I do it slowly, gradually? Do I have to quit hard, cold turkey? And I said, it's your choice. Well, I haven't made up my mind, was a response. Then I said, you're not ready to quit smoking. That person had a treatment, which was crystal acupuncture to move the energy around the body, felt happy, felt better, and left. I don't know, 6 months went by, came back, I'm ready to stop smoking now. I said, okay, if you're ready, I'll make you a tape. In those days, we didn't have digital stuff. So I made a recording for her on an audio tape to listen every time she got the urge to smoke. She came back to me soon after saying it worked very well for a week. I cut all my cigarette smoking down to half the number of smoking, 20 a day instead of 40. I said, well, that's good, that's a start. And then she said, well, that's not really my problem right now. My problem is I've got a lot of financial issues and I can't afford to smoke anymore. So I said, well, what do you want? She said, I want to quit cold turkey. So I said, well, do you know what that means emotionally? And she said, yeah, I'm going to starve myself with cigarettes. I said, starve? She said, yes. I said, what do you mean starve? She said, well, I don't eat much. I have my teas and my coffees and I have a cigarette. So if I'm not smoking, I probably won't have my teas and coffees. I said, what about food? oh, I don't have time for food. So I said, I think it sounds more important that you now learn to balance smoking, which is your mouth, with eating, which is your mouth. Let's focus on your mouth. She said, I never thought about my mouth. And I said, you never thought about your face. When you're smoking, your eyes screw up, because I'd watched out. Your nose twitches. Your breathing patterns change as you inhale. You shut your eyes as you exhale. You shift your body when you move. There's lots of connections with smoking that you've not noticed. Oh my God, she said. I had no idea that I had so many physical attributes related to smoking. So what followed was a series of sessions with healing and with more hypnosis tapes that I made for her to help her understand how much her body was tied in to the smoking. I mean her physical actions by that. Once we'd done that, we started to talk about her diet and withdrawal symptoms of smoking. She thought she was going to get fat. She thought she was going to suffer in so many different ways. But in actual fact, as time went by and she cut back on smoking, she got to a point where she said, I'm hungry. And I said to her, well, that's good, because you see, you're finally getting most of the poisons that are in cigarettes out of your body. A lot of those poisons that are in cigarettes actually stop you from eating. But if you stop smoking, that's why people want to start eating, because the body kicks in, all the chemistry kicks in, and suddenly all the times you've starved yourself of food, the brain says, I need nourishment. I need to rebuild my body. It's not about stuffing your face with every cookie and cake and potatoes you can find. It's about finding a good diet. It's about trusting yourself to eat moderately, maybe every 2 hours a little bit. Some people like to do that, while others like to have a full meal. But whatever it is, remember, it's got to be the size of your fist, not this big. In this country, people dish up large portions of food. If you're dining out, take home 2/3 of it. You can have it heated up tomorrow. That'll also make your money go further. And that's the blessing of quitting smoking and quitting overeating. You're going to have more money because you're not spending as much. And in time, you can use that money to buy something you really need. You can pamper yourself. You can have massages. You're going to have different treatments in your country, whatever that might be. You can go out on the town and have dinner out occasionally that's somewhere you'd never go, and you really enjoy it without a cigarette. Now, of course, what I've been talking about mostly is quitting smoking. Take a look at your face when you're smoking next time. Stand in front of a mirror and watch yourself. And while you're doing that, watch your body movements. Some people kind of flick the ash like this a lot of times, wiggle their arms around, move their body back and forwards. Whatever you're doing, catch it, because you need to know this is going on. And then you need to notice all the different times that you associate with a good time to have a cigarette, like after a meal, with a glass of wine, talking to a friend on the telephone, finishing a job at work and running outside to have a cigarette in a corner somewhere. You know, a while back, my husband and I quit a lot of years ago now. We were about 15, 20 years maybe, I don't know. But we used to notice when the new laws came out about not smoking in buildings, we used to see all these people outside these buildings hovering around an ashtray, all looking like little lost lambs, just hanging on that cigarette as though it was the most important lifesaver in the world. Are you one of those people? Well, now cigarettes cost so much. They're amazingly expensive. Do yourself a favor. Do your health a favor. Do your life a favor. Do your friends a favor, because if they don't smoke, you do smell like an old ashtray. Give yourself a new birthday. After all, when you were born, you didn't smoke. The same applies to all the other addictions as well, whether it's drugs, alcohol, food, anything. You're going to have a body language that's tied into what you're doing. You're going to have a mental mindset that is a state of hypnosis that is tied into what you're doing. And you're going to be rationalizing, justifying, explaining, and excusing it to yourself over and over again, which actually is going to hypnotize you into a deeper state of the addiction. So, if you need help, you can write to me, Dr. Margaret, rvc@gmail.com, or you can go to my website, www.sumaricenter.com. That's below in the information of this video and all my other videos, and maybe you'll watch all my other videos and go to my radio show and listen to that, Journey into an Unknown World, on Web Talk Radio. So if you need help, contact me. If you need me to make your own special hypnosis recording, not on a tape anymore, but digital, then I can make it for you and send it to you as an attachment. Isn't that easy now? So don't suffer anymore. Don't say, I'm going to quit next week, next year, sometime, never. Make it today. I can help you. So I hope you found this interesting and stimulate you a little bit more to think about your health, what you do to your body, and how you show your world who you are. So write to me, contact me, and I'll help you. Thank you for listening.